Well, welcome back, my friends, to season three and another exciting episode of my Feelings Over Tea podcast. Today, we are going to explore the heart, the body, and the quiet wisdom that lives beneath our everyday lives. I am so thrilled to host this show today. I'm your host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks. Thank you for being here with me today. We're going to dive into something that lives beneath language, beneath thought, and beneath the noise of the world. We are talking about the power of an energetic connection. We live in this culture that teaches us to think our way through everything. But healing, belonging, and transformation often begin in the places we feel before we can explain. The breath, the heartbeat, the vibration of sound. These subtle shifts in our bodies when we're seen, held, or understood are so critical to our existence. So today I have an amazing guest joining me. I'm so excited to introduce her to you, Dr. Gemma Perry. She is a PhD and a researcher, as well as a yoga teacher. She specializes in mantra meditation. Dr. Gemma has been researching the psychological, physiological, and spiritual benefits of chanting for over a decade. And today, we're exploring how yoga, breath, sound, and collective movement reconnect us to the energy that has always been ours, the energy that sustains us, it guides us, and it also reminds us that we are truly never alone. So, my friends, settle in, take a breath. I am excited for you to be here with me and Dr. Gemma for this episode. So let's jump into it right here and right now.
Welcome to my Feelings Over Tea podcast, where experts and everyday people will sip tea and spill the tea about all things life and mental health related. So grab yourself a cup of tea and join me, your host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks, for hot topics, helping you to cut through the muck of life and live your life well in my Feelings Over Tea podcast, right here and right now.
All right, so welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here again. Dr. Gemma Perry, I want to say thank you for being a part of the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's always lovely to talk to you.
Yes, thank you so much. For those of you that are listening, Dr. Gemma and I were able to connect through the Neuroscience and Yoga Conference back in 2025. And we've had the opportunity to connect, and I was actually able to attend one of her I'm going to call it a sound healing session, which was phenomenal at a time where I needed it. And I am just thrilled to have you to talk about the work that you're doing and be able to connect people to something that I think is so important for all of us. Yeah. So thank you for being here. Let's jump into this fascinating conversation about yoga and connection and sound and connection. In yoga, we talk about prana, so the life force that moves through the body. It's not just breath and it's not just energy, but it's this subtle current that tends to awake inside of us and brings us to this, I say, this warm, kind of subtle place that just makes me feel alive. When people step onto the mat or into this mindful movement, something begins to shift. I think when we're in these collective healing spaces, people start to notice the places where energy may feel stuck within them, where things may feel really heavy, or they're feeling just like disjointed and disconnected. So, one of the things that I think is important is like awareness, which is the first doorway to, how we get beyond all of the things that may not be connected for us. And then movement is the second, and permission is the third. So when someone reconnects with their energetic flow, they often describe feeling lighter, feeling more clear, and feeling more grounded. For you, Gemma, what is something that has helped you with yoga to reconnect with yourself and kind of shift and transition into that next phase of kind of going out of feeling disconnected? What helps
Mm.
you to feel more connected with yoga?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the first thing is I am an expert on feeling disconnected.
Mm, I love
I,
that. Yes.
I can tell you all about feeling disconnected, feeling
Yes.
stressed, feeling anxious, feeling, overwhelmed. I really am an expert, and a lot of us are an expert
Of
on
course.
that. And one of the practices that I have found that has helped me to connect, to feel like I belong, to feel like I'm part of, something greater than my small egoic self
Yeah.
is the practice of chanting and mantra and sound. So I have done a lot of asana practice as well, and that can be really good to get into the body and then just making these sounds, whether I'm by myself or with a group. You can even actually do it mentally, and it just
Mhm.
feels like almost like a safety net. And it cuts through, like you're talking about prana, which, it's debatable whether we have prana in modern
For
science,
sure.
but
Yeah.
I guess we could say that a way of measuring our prana or our life force that we talk about in yoga could be just our ability to regulate, stress and
Yeah.
regulate our attention. Because what about our attention?
For
I heard an
sure.
expression recently that our attention is like confetti.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
And I thought that was such a great way to put it. So it's like these practices bring us back. They bring us back into the body. We can do sound with visualization of different parts of the body that are connected with also different kind of states of consciousness, for example. And yeah, that can also, especially when doing it with a group of people,
Yeah.
help us reconnect and
Yeah.
feel aligned and regulated.
Yeah. Okay, you dropped so many nuggets. This whole thing about confetti is like it's golden. And I think that a lot of people can relate to feeling disconnected. And, I think sometimes that feeling of being disconnected and stuck, people tend to think like, where do I go or what do I do? And if they are not aligned with like healing practices or sound or yoga, it's really easy for that anxiety to creep in and kind of start to freak out because it's just like I'm in this place and I don't know what to do. And then everything heightens, right? And so many people, I think, they do struggle to feel maybe worthy or grounded in their own value, right?
Mm,
So, how does, from your perspective, knowing one's worth influence the energy that they carry? And then,
mm,
how can practices like breath work or mindful movement help someone embody that worth more fully, more
mm.
openly?
Yeah, so self-worth is something that I think a lot of us also are struggling with. And in yoga, we have these concepts of basically we're all divine. We're just all
Yeah.
divine. So that's the
Yes.
first thing is this philosophy or this belief system that we're all connected, we're all of the same stuff, and it's
Mhm.
divine. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pure consciousness. And then we can actually apply different practices to embody that. And
Hmm.
of course, sound is where I go for everything.
Yeah.
And so if we're actually, even humming or chanting Om, for example, which has got that long at the
Hmm.
end, that can help us regulate the parasympathetic nervous system. There's even the posture that we have while chanting. If you think of someone that's got low self-worth, we can just see that person sort of hunched over or
Yeah.
in a corner, sort of trying to be
Yeah.
small. And then you
Yeah.
think of that person that just is confident and they take up space in the room, their voice is strong, and like that's another thing is you can feel where someone's voice is coming from, like where that
Yeah.
intention is coming from and that power is coming from. So the voice
Yeah.
can really help us to embody our strength and embody our
I love,
worthiness.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. When you were talking about just being able to be conscious and aware of where that voice is coming from, it makes me think about singing. And I remember having had several music instructors and singing over the course of several years. Like they would always say, take your hands and put it on your belly, and you need to belt out those notes, right? So we're pushing there to bring that vocal tone out, right? From deep down and bringing that out. And, I think as you're talking about this, it's important, like you said, even the body and the posture, right?
Mm.
As we're talking about that confidence and that self-worth and that value, right? And you can see that grow even, like you said, and using sound and really embracing that, maybe in that stuck place.
Mm.
And as people become more confident, I don't know if it's one or the other. Is it the chicken before the egg? If they become more confident with the work that they're doing with sound and yoga and that healing work, that they become more confident in that they become more confident, or do they become more confident within themselves? And then the work that they're doing with that sound and whatnot becomes better, right? So maybe it's
Mm.
a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also like, I notice you have like a little sun on your, like just
Yeah.
after your name here.
Yes.
And so that's also a way that we can connect. So a lot of the chanting, the practices that we're doing are actually sort of said to be the vibration of nature. So there's actually a lot of chants
Mm,
about the sun. And
yeah.
so we're literally chanting to the energy of the sun or for the energy of the sun and trying
Mhm.
to embody, like if you think of the sun and the
Yeah.
power of the sun, like,
Yes.
as
Yes.
that's
Yes.
inside of us, and that
Yes.
can really help. And so we kind of like we have the sound that we're making,
Yeah.
we have the visualization,
Mhm.
and that kind of belief and all of those things can come together to help us feel a bit more powerful. And
Yeah. Here's something that I want to drop in that feels very connecting to what we're talking about right now. And I want to give this to the audience. So for those of you that are listening, I want you to think about and just kind of sit with this thought. Your energy introduces you before your words ever do, right? What story is your energy telling? And is it the one you want to live? Is it what you want to live with? Right. So take a moment to just let that settle in and think about how your energy introduces you. Like you said, when a person walks into a room, how are they showing up? When you go to speak, what is your voice saying? When you sing that song, is it coming from a place of fear? You know, is it coming from a place of love? Is it coming from a place of self-awareness? So as we're kind of settling in with that thought, Gemma, I want you to talk a little bit more about sound and how it has been, we know that it's been used for centuries as a healing tool, but what is it about vibration and tone and resonance that allows sound to reach places within us that words often can't?
Mm. Yeah, this is a really good question. So the first thing is that sounds, we don't just hear them, we feel them. So even when I'm
Mm,
speaking, I can feel a certain vibration.
mm,
And there's even tools being developed now for people living with deafness or hard of
yes,
hearing, that they can actually feel vibrations through these
yes,
tools on their body and that kind of.
yes.
So sound is more than something that just comes through the ears, especially if we're producing the sound
Mm,
ourselves. And the other thing is with the words, because even though I'm speaking words to you right
mhm,
now,
mm.
and I'd like to think that they're profound,
Yeah, yes, yes.
but there are actually some studies that show. So mantra is a word that we use in Sanskrit to explain a repetitive sound that we use.
Hmm.
But mantra has been used a lot in the modern world. Like, what is your mantra? Oh, my mantra is
Yes.
I love this,
Hmm.
or whatever it
Hmm.
is. And it's kind
Yeah.
of controversial, but it's okay. It's just that we need to be aware that those phrases, so when people are choosing a mantra, so to speak, or an English affirmation,
Yeah.
they can repeat these words like I am beautiful or I am enough or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
they need to be at a point that there's a little bit of belief about it, because if they don't believe it,
That's right.
they can actually go in the opposite direction. And the I am beautiful is really just telling me how I am definitely not beautiful. And I definitely believe that I am not worthy. And, so we're actually just reinforcing the fact that we don't think that about ourselves. And with these other sounds, mantra, or even, other prayers that we can use, they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of cutting through that, not meaning, because they still have meaning in some
Sure.
way, but they're not pointing to the material world.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
really pointing to the unseen, nature, divinity, consciousness, whatever you like to
Yeah.
call it. And Om Namah Shivaya, or something that resonates with us. It can be any prayer from any tradition or any
Hmm.
sound, but it
Hmm.
seems to cut through that everyday life stuff that we use words for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is utilizing something that has a personal meaning to you can be more impactful,
Mm,
right? If
definitely.
if I believe those words or that prayer, it transcends further than me just taking something and reading from it that I'm not connected to and it has no personal meaning to me or value for that. Yeah, for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the repetition is also important, So I mean, a lot of these prayers and sounds, mantras, they've been chanted and recited for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's how we know something works. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't last the test of time if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's also an aspect of it. And we know, okay, like, so when I'm chanting, I have an association with that sound. And it could be that I've been practicing it for 10 years or more, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
it's a safe place for me to go. It
Sure.
could take me to group practices. It could take me to spiritual
Mm-hmm.
places where I've
Mm-hmm.
been with that
Mm-hmm.
sound, or it could just
Yeah.
experiences associated with it, that I've had
Hmm.
profound experiences with that sound before. And it just, when we've repeated it for so long and we've had all of those experiences with it, then when we just say it once, that
Yeah.
on a certain day, it can take
Yeah.
us straight there.
Yes. Yes. And I want to like share with the listeners that even though we're talking about sound and sound healing, and we're talking about yoga and some of these different practices with mantra and things like that, the things that Dr. Gemma is sharing with us can be used across all belief systems, right? And religion and song and healing practices, right? And so as you were talking, the thing that came up for me, as I shared with me being Christian and going to church, certain songs that I sang even as a kid, right? Now they hit different. And
Mm.
so even when I hear it, it may just, like you said, it reaches me in certain places in the depths of my soul that I can feel. But also when maybe I start to sing the words, or maybe I'm in a place where I'm humming, right? That particular song, there's something that I may feel differently now as an adult that as a child, yeah, I still felt it, but it felt different. And so I think as people are listening to this episode, really just take this in what Dr. Gemma is sharing, because it's so profound and so good that we can take this and make it personal for you.
Mm.
Make it personal for you, for your own lived experience, to make meaning of it for you so that what we're sharing can be personal and helpful, right?
Yeah, and you should make it personal. Like our science actually shows that the people that are doing these practices with intention, with belief, with spirituality are actually getting a lot more benefit from the
Yeah.
practice. You can do the practices mechanically and you can get a lot of benefit from it as well from just so if I just hum, I have no beliefs about anything at all, and I'm just
Yeah.
humming, I'm going to access my parasympathetic nervous system. I'm going to reduce
Yes.
cortisol, all of those
Yes.
things. But if I
Yes.
have something else that goes with it, I could reach an altered state of consciousness, which people
Mhm.
report is like just this kind of profound peace,
Mhm.
happiness, like
Yeah.
a real place of belonging. And they can reach those places by themselves because it's a bigger kind of belonging than
Mhm.
a like just a group of people or something like that. It's a belonging really to consciousness, to
Sure.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And again, this is not something that is just like driving down a one lane highway, but this is something that can transcend across many different people, beliefs, right? Like you said, it's not just one way, but it can be expanded out. And again, we're just encouraging our listeners to really take and make this personal for you, right?
Mm.
So there are moments in healing work that stays with you, and moments where sound becomes a doorway back to stillness or clarity. And I think as we talk about the power of sound and connection, what shifts energetically when someone opens their heart to sound? And how does that deepen the healing experience? So I think I want to just take this kind of a step further into your work with sound and what you found with that.
So I think it's stillness and clarity. So we can get all sorts of effects from these practices depending on how we're practicing, what state we're in when we're practicing, that kind of thing. So we can do certain practices that would enhance stillness, for example, or relaxation or
Yeah.
decreased anxiety. And then we
Yeah.
can do these other practices that may bring us ecstatic joy, and so
Yeah.
we can sort of manipulate the practices in a way to get a certain effect. One might be sitting down very still and repeating sounds internally, and
Mm.
one might be going to a spiritual place
Yeah.
and clapping and dancing with
Yeah.
other people and drumming, and there's a lot of
Yes.
music. So
Yes.
so it can be different impacts. But like one of the things, and I think this is back to where we were talking before about this devotional aspect or from the heart. Like when we speak about from the heart, it's doing something with intention or feeling.
Hmm.
And what I experienced, so I became very interested in these practices, as you know, I've been researching
Yeah.
for a decade. But
Yes.
personally, I took myself off to these different spiritual places, different cultures, different
Mm.
traditions, and they
Yeah.
all welcomed me and they,
Love
explained to
that.
me what was happening. And sometimes I'd have to find out where the practice was taking place in the temple, out the back in this little
Yeah.
room, and only the hardcore of the hardcore are out there.
Yes.
And in all of these spaces, in Hindu temples, in Sikh
Mm.
temples, I've gone into churches where people have been practicing the rosary together, and
Sure.
all sorts of different
Yeah.
experiences. One of the things that I noticed was similar across all of the traditions was people coming together with a shared intention or
Mm.
with a shared experience from the heart and
Yeah.
channeling that through the sound and the repetition together
Yeah.
with that. And that's really powerful. And I
Hmm.
think that especially they're coming together in a lot of these traditions with a higher power in mind or a source or something that they're a part of, but
Yeah.
everyone's connecting with that. So we sort of get our little selves out of the room and we,
Yes.
we come into real consciousness and a real true state of being. And that can definitely bring, a stillness. And we find in the research, so we find that chanting reduces stress or prayer reduces stress. So
Hmm.
cortisol levels, it increases nitric oxide for immune and brain function. It
Yeah.
does all of these things, but it also can alter people's states of consciousness, that they
Hmm.
do feel this profound shift
Yeah.
from perhaps anxiety or stress
Hmm.
to this feeling of peace and unity,
Yeah.
belonging, social connection. There are a lot of the things that we research. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important to have the piece about research because I think a lot of times people are told do this or do that, but they don't necessarily know why it's important and what happens to the body, right? Sometimes they just know, oh, I feel better, or I need to push myself to go to this experience or this, like you said, to temple and be with people, or to the church and be with people, but not really truly understanding that, how important it is for the body to have that connection and, like you said, that sense of belonging. And I think that there's a part of when you were talking, I was just thinking about groups as they come together, the power of, like you said, breathing together, moving together, this palpable energetic feel that I think shows up when people are able to connect together, even if it's a virtual connection, right? You can still feel that energy as people are coming together. I want to share something with the listeners. As Gemma and I are talking, I want you to be aware that if you're listening to this and there are like some pauses where no one's talking, Dr. Gemma is very intentional about being present with what is being asked before she responds. So I'm watching this in real time and I know I know how we connect in how we talk. And so I don't want people to think like, God, they don't know what they're talking about. But we know what we're talking about. This is just a very intentional conversation. And I appreciate that you are taking the time to really feel through this conversation and the questions that are coming forth. So I just like wanted to like put that out there so that people know what's happening on this side of things. So
Yeah, that's so funny to mention. When you ask me questions, I feel you know how we look
yeah,
up sort of to the side and think
yes.
about things as if the answer is up there
Right?
somewhere.
It's up there.
Like,
It's in the clouds.
and then I get it and then I bring it back and talk about it. So, and it
Yeah,
is also really interesting that our conversation may be slower than something on TikTok
for sure,
because
right?
things are
Yeah.
going so fast at the
Yeah.
moment. You know, you just
Yeah.
scroll and you scroll and someone's doing a
And
different
it's like
dance
boom, boom,
or
boom, boom,
whatever it
boom.
is.
It's right there. Yeah. So I want to ask if there is anything that you would like to share as far as sound is concerned. I know that you had talked about the earlier, and I don't know if you'd want to just do like a quick demonstration or exercise for those that are listening that might be helpful for people to just connect with.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. I think it's like what we were talking about is being your own experiment. So in
Mm,
yoga, like we sort of are our own experiments in a lot of ways. Like don't take what we're saying at all. Go and
yeah,
try it and then see how you feel and
yeah.
try different things. So the practice that I would suggest that anyone can do at any time without anyone sort of blinking an eye is humming. And that obviously transcends all the boundaries of
Mm,
cultures and traditions and
yes.
practices because we can all hum. And we even, you know, NaKaisha and I have been sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
like even in
Hmm.
conversation, we're saying,
Yes.
mm.
Yes.
And sometimes we can use it to regulate. So you can try when you inhale next, on your exhale, you just hum out. So, hmm. And I could also continue. So you can actually extend your exhale so much more from just that vibration of the lips. And extending the exhale can help us activate the parasympathetic nervous system, go into relaxation. It's also a great way to warm up the vocal cords if you're going to do a
Yes.
presentation or
Yes.
something, or even have a
Yes.
conversation with someone.
Yes.
And yeah, so that could be a really great practice. And even if you just do it 3 times, it
Mm-hmm.
can be pretty powerful to just reset.
Yeah. I love that. For those of you that are listening, even just a simple can transition you from a place of maybe stress, overwhelm into, like Dr. Gemma said, activating that parasympathetic, part of your nervous system and really giving you the ability to start to relax and calm. So just that simple breath in and humming out can be so, so big and so powerful. Yeah. Listen, I have loved having this conversation with you today. Thank you for sharing just even that small exercise that we can do that can be so big for so many of us. Something that we carry with us every day is our voice, right? And our ability to use even just a simple hum to help us throughout our days. So thank you for sharing that. As we wrap up, I mean, there are so many different lanes that we could go down, but as we wrap up this episode today with you, Dr. Gemma, how can people connect with you if they want to learn more about you, about your work? Please feel free to share how people can connect with you.
Yeah, well, they can find me on my website. So that's drgemmaperry.com.au. And that will take you to whatever is your preference in social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram,
So much.
LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. And also
Awesome.
it was so lovely to have you at the online chanting.
Yes.
And we've created this new time because I had so many requests from your side of the world to have a time that was
Nice.
appropriate. And so
Yes.
we have this Sunday evening time, and we've just started our first 8-week term, but we have another one starting in May.
Okay.
And that's 8 weeks of just meeting online for 45 minutes a week. And we, yeah, get a lot out of those practices together, even though we're on the
Awesome.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you heard it. You said it's
Dot
drgemmaperry.com.au.
com.
All right. So you got it here. You got it first. Check her out. There's lots, whatever your social media preference is, it sounds like she is there. So please check her out. Anything that you want to know about sound, about healing, about yoga, about research should be there. Connect with Dr. Gemma. I am so grateful to have you as part of the show today. Thank you for sharing with our audience, all of our listeners, just all of the things that they can learn to get healthier, right? And to just be able to utilize this to better their daily journeys. So, as we close today's conversation, everyone, I want to leave you with this. When you reconnect with your energy, you reconnect with your truth. And when you reconnect with your truth, you reconnect with your power. Your energy is not random. It is not accidental. It is not fragile. It is ancient, it is wise, and it is yours. My friends, I'm your host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks. Please like and share this episode with others. You can follow me on Instagram at My Feelings Over Tea and also on YouTube at First Lady Giggles. That's the number one ST Lady Giggles on YouTube. I am grateful that you've joined us today. Thank you for joining me for this exploration of energetic connection. May you continue to move through the rest of your day with breath that nourishes you, sound that grounds you, and energy that reminds you of your worth. Until next time, my friends, thank you for joining me for My Feelings Over Tea podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care, my friends. I'm out.